Hi there, it is Saturday morning, which means it is time for Meals with Melissa. Now I have to apologize. I know first of all I have a hat on so you can't really see my face under there. I've got some funky hair going on right now, so it's a hat day. And also half the lighting is out in my kitchen, so you're gonna see some kind of weird shadows going on, but hopefully you can see what's going on here because today we are making easy zucchini fritters. Now, for those of you that like potatoes or like something crunchy at breakfast or even maybe a snack, these are super simple. It didn't take me very long. I actually made the first batch this morning and I actually tried them 3 ways to make sure that I could tell you the best option for them. So again, if you're a fan of hash browns or need something that's a little more healthy, this is a great way to do it, and I'm gonna give you couple of options, like I said, for cooking them. I tried a set in the oven. I tried a batch in a pan, which is some pan spray, and I also tried some with some olive oil. So it gives you some options, especially if you are really working to fit your macros. Maybe you're a little low fat right now, you might not be able to use the olive oil option, then baking might be the best one for you. But if you are a little higher in fats on your macros, then olive oil is a great option. So let's get started. This is a great recipe that I got from Pinterest. Of course, I love Pinterest. I find all kinds of great stuff on there and you can save it and then come back and try it later. No, I will tell you sometimes my recipes don't always work out, and of course rarely do they look like the pictures that are popping up on there, but you know what, it tastes great and it turned out just fine today. And it's summer right now, hopefully you are able to find some zucchini, because if you're growing your own you probably have a plethora. Luckily I finally found some, and I found a giant one from one of the doctors that I know. And so she was able to give me some zucchini, and of course, not only did I make fritters, but we're probably gonna make some zucchini bread this afternoon because I love to bake and usually give it away. So anyhow, so here's what you're gonna do. Now this morning I made a half batch, so I'll show you what they do look like. I won't probably get through cooking the ones that we're gonna make right now, but I'm gonna show you the half batch, but I am gonna give you the full recipe and then I will post it down below. You know that I don't do anything complicated. I have to keep it simple. I am not the best cook, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm just not. So it has to be simple, it has to be something that I can follow, and it has to not take a lot of time because I just don't have it. So here's the ingredients that you're gonna need. You're gonna need a pound, and of course I'm halving it, a pound of grated zucchini. Now I just used a boxed grater. You can also use a food processor, which I've tried to do. I do not have good luck with food processors. Matter of fact, I just bought one the other day and immediately had to return it because it wouldn't even turn on. So, and yes, I do know how to use them. So I've got a half a pound right here, but you need a pound of grated zucchini and some various other dry goods, which we'll get to in just a second. And again, I will post the recipe below when we're done. So I'm actually gonna add a little bit of salt. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm actually gonna put it in my grated zucchini, and I'm actually gonna just kind of mush it around and make sure that the salt gets on, mixed really good in with it. Now, just like other squashes, zucchini tends to be really full of water, very water dense. So we're actually gonna take a colander and dump it in there, and we're actually gonna get as much of the moisture out as we can because otherwise it's not gonna cook evenly, and water and oil do not mix very well. So I'm gonna put it in a colander, and I just have a colander we've had for a very long time. Okay, it's gonna take me a minute. I'm just gonna squeeze it out the best I can. I actually put my colander on a plate so that it can absorb all the juices down below and I'm not making a huge mess, and I don't have to do it over the sink. So it's gonna take me a minute. I'm gonna get all this squeezed out, and I'm gonna put it in a smaller bowl, and I'm gonna add 2 large eggs. And again, I'm halving it, so I'm only adding 1 right now. But we're gonna add some eggs to this. Again, this is very low carb. We're gonna add a little bit of flour, but I'm using almond flour today. You could also use coconut flour. It does call for a 1/4 cup of oat fiber. I'm actually not using that. You can just add a little bit more in the way of the whatever flour that you're using. I don't do regular flour on these because my family pretty much does gluten-free at this point, just because I choose to be so. Nobody has celiac, so we just choose to be really low gluten. All right, so I'm gonna put this in a bowl. Ooh, I'm squeezing, you can see on my muscle. All right, here we go. Put it in a bowl. Okay, make sure I get as much out of this as I can. And a full batch will make anywhere from 6 to 8 fritters. It really just depends on the size that you make them. And all the forms that I baked them or cooked them turned out really great. Just some got crispier than the other. Okay, so done with that. Now to that, I'm gonna add my eggs. Okay, and I'm gonna mix that in. I'm just using my hands for the moment. See some people popping on, good morning. This is probably one of the more complicated recipes that I've done recently. just because it looked good and I have zucchini. All right, so then I'm gonna mix my dry ingredients. And I just got a little bit of my stuff all over when I moved the plate. So I've got about 1.5 ounces of scallions or a green onion. Okay, I've got, let's see, I'm checking my recipe, make sure I give it to you right. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of lemon pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm dumping that into 1/2 cup plus 1/4 cup of almond flour. Okay, I'm gonna take a fork and mix that up. You can see behind me that I have a real kitchen. My kitchen is covered with my family and I love it. My refrigerator has pictures and lists and all that good stuff. Okay, I'm actually gonna dump the lemon pepper directly into the wet, only because I accidentally got a little bit of zucchini liquid in it. So, lemon pepper. Now, here's the cool thing. I love garlic. You could also add some minced or grated garlic into this as well. Okay. All right, I'm gonna mix in my dry ingredients. Like I said, this is super, super simple. Now, here's what I discovered. When I put them on a baking sheet, and what I did was I just took a regular pan, I took parchment paper, that's what I couldn't remember to call it last week, parchment paper. I did it just as it is. Now, when I went to fry them in a pan, they were a little loose, so I actually added just a little bit more of the almond flour just to make them a little stiffer, because I didn't want them to fall apart when they were cooking. Okay, so I'm mixing this all together. Oh, almost forgot my grated cheese. So I am putting 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan in there as well. I like Parmesan, it's a little more solid of a cheese. It contains a little less fat. Okay, so it's gonna be a little lower in calories, right? Because fats are calorie dense. Now, if you are keto, this is keto friendly because it is really low carb. Again, I'm not a fan of keto, but if you are, it's an option. Hey, Paul, I can see you from here. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna take my parchment paper, put it in my pan. I'm actually going to use an ice cream scoop. Okay, just easy to portion it out. Okay, I'm gonna put it in my pan. And then I'm going to take just a plastic spatula. I'm gonna press it flat so that it cooks evenly. Okay, now if you wanna try it in your pan, that's great. I just took a small pan. Like I said, I did both pan spray and olive oil, and I'm gonna show you how they look, how they each turned out a little bit different. Coat the bottom with the oil, let it heat up really good. Put it in, press it down with your spatula, let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes each side. It should be nice and crispy. They do keep if you put them in an airtight container, although they won't be crispy anymore. So you might keep the contents of the mixture ready to go in your container and then cook them as needed in the morning. It'll last a couple of days if you keep it refrigerated. Okay, so throw those in, cook them, then you have it. So let me show you what they're gonna look like according to each different style. Okay, so when I baked it, it turned out pretty good. It didn't get quite as crispy as some of the other options, but again, I didn't have to add any extra oils to it. So your macro count, which again, I'm gonna include down below, is exactly what it is. When you start adding the oils, you do have to include that within your macros because it does absorb into the product that you're cooking. So when I use pan spray, okay, and I'll actually tip this up in a second. When I use pan spray, it did turn out a little bit crispier, cooked obviously a little bit faster. When you do bake it, you're gonna bake it at 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes on one side and then flip it over and 10 to 12 minutes on the second side. With the pan, like I said, it's about 2 minutes, 1.5 to 2 minutes each side, depending on how hot it is. This got fairly crispy, but the one that I cooked in olive oil honestly turned out the best. It actually is the crispiest. It looks nice and golden brown all over it. Kind of reminds me of other fritters or like I love like crab cakes or salmon cakes. All those things totally appeal to me. So in order to serve them, you've got a couple of options. I'm taking the other one that I baked this morning, okay, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of sour cream. Okay, so you could add some sour cream and chives. If you are doing low fat, you can use a lighter sour cream. Okay, you could also use a little bit of Greek yogurt, which of course is higher in proteins. Now I'm not gonna tell you which one's the best for you because it just depends on your situation. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit of sour cream on there. And of course, my family's excited. They asked if they were gonna be ready for them to eat this morning. So we're gonna try this puppy out. I'm actually excited to try the crispy one, but we're gonna try the baked one first. Actually, that's really good. Okay, super simple, super easy. I'll include the recipe below, guys. Eating healthy does not have to be hard, it does not have to be complicated, and it does not have to take a lot of time. You just have to be prepared. That is your goal. So have an incredible weekend, you guys, and until next time, that's Meals with Melissa. Have a good one.